Do you want to hear about the time that I got caught kissing a girl under a table? I don't know how else to start that. I mean, that is what happened. Maybe I should give you a little more context. So, I was about 7 or 8, probably 8, and I I didn't have any luck with boys. In fact, at this time, there was a little boy, Dante, who went out of his way to hurt my feelings. One day, I even ended up we had a huge auditorium, which, little fun fact, that auditorium actually, if you know the band, and this is a very old band, Element, LMNT, Element. Well, they came to that school, and it was like I've never seen a concert in person. And so this was back then, I was like, this is my very first concert. It's currently my only concert, but it was a huge deal. They showed up to, it was this big assembly. They showed up to the elementary and they played a Juliet. And I was hooked. I was so sure I was going to be a pop star. So clearly they were going to help me get in the door, and it didn't happen. I'm still waiting. So around the time of the Element concert, I was wearing jeans. I wore jeans all the time, but today I was wearing jeans. And Dante decided that he was going to make fun of something with my belly. I think my belly was hanging over my. I remember. I had a big belly, and so I would have jeans that sat under my belly. Those of us who wear jeans understand there's a difference between jeans that go over your belly and jeans that go under your belly. And so I would wear shirts a lot that I would have to pull down. Half the time, I didn't even really probably need to pull them down, but it became a obsession that I thought I needed, because if I didn't pull them down, my belly would show. And one day I was distracted playing, and I reached up or something, and my belly flopped out. Was how he saw it. And he, in front of his little friends, just laid into me, just in front of everybody, about how big my belly was. So I did what any normal 8-year-old little girl whose belly popped out in the middle of the playground in front of all of her friends and her bully's friends would do. I started sobbing, ran off the playground, ran into the auditorium through an open door, ran up the steps, and I'm saying there was a lot of steps, because there was, I mean, hundreds of seats. I don't. It felt big. I don't know if it was really that big. If I walked into the auditorium as a grown up, I don't know. But as a kid, it felt massive. I ran up all those steps to the very top of the auditorium. I ran into the bathroom. I slammed the door. I locked it. I threw myself against it, slid down, and cried. I did not leave that bathroom for probably a good 45 minutes, till finally one of my friends went and got a teacher who encouraged me to eventually leave, and told me that Dante's opinion of me didn't matter, and that I had a cute little tummy, which I was, that didn't help much, but she thought it would. um, so the friend that got the teacher, um, her name was Ashley, and I had what I now know was a crush on her. I would tell you back then, because I was 8, I would have told you that I had a boy best friend named Joey and that I had a girl best friend named Ashley. Her name was Ashley Payne. She was black. And I mention that because I am very much white. But the school I was at was very much black and Mexican. And I I thought she was gorgeous. I thought she was the most beautiful black girl I have ever met. And I thought it was cool that her last name was Payne because it sounded tough. And she was very much not. She was not tough. And I just thought that was so cool. We had some more friends. So Ashley was like my best friend. And then there was Khadijah, Ba. And I liked her. She was cool. Uh, we weren't necessarily close, but we did hang out a little bit outside of school, which, means that's a little bit of a step in your friendship is hanging out outside of school. But we didn't have sleepovers or anything. It was more of if she was inviting the other girls over. Then there was Tiffany, and Tiffany was a little white girl like me, but I had honey auburn hair. I had highlights. She had blonde hair, just pure blonde hair, and she was going to do great things in life, she said. Um, and she was going to be a model. And then there was Maisha D. Horny. I'm not even joking. That was her name. Maisha D. Horny. She was a black girl. And I didn't have a crush on her. But I would say that I got along with her more than I did Khadijah. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's just I just want you to know that I had a crush on Ashley. I didn't have a crush on Maisha. But Ashley did not have a crush on me. None of them had a crush on me. But I want that mentioned because it'll factor into what I tell you in this story. This wasn't a romantic situation. This wasn't me kissing Ashley. I guess is how I'm trying to say this. Because you'll understand there'll be a difference. This wasn't this was a red flag. And I didn't know it at the time because why would I know this at the time? Um but basically what happened was I was in an after school program. I can't really tell you why. I mean, I know my mom had a daycare, so maybe that's why. I don't know, but for some reason I was in an after school program. Now, there's a lot with this after school program because it's more for another day, but I remember being in I remember practicing Barbie Girl and going to this after school thing and we had a whole production and I would put on fancy dresses with my friends and we would model them. Grew up and mentioned that to my mother and she said, I have never seen you in any sort of event at that school like that. But I very distinctly remember doing it. I remember being backstage. I remember the outfit that I wore because it was these other girls were wearing gorgeous gowns. Think what you would wear at a quinceanera. Those kind of dresses. I was wearing this, it went above my knees, and it was this one piece striped dress. I don't even know how to describe it. It looked like something you would maybe wear for pictures if you didn't want to dress up. It was just a normal dress. Um Not even a church dress. It was lacking and everybody made it known. So on this day, I was at this after school program, but we were outside. We were not practicing for any creepy events. And we were playing, and much like unsupervised children do on a gigantic playground, me and my friends ended up under a table. Now, I remember Ashley, maybe not. So I don't remember if Ashley was there or if she was around the table. She doesn't really matter in this context. But I was under the table with Maisha, and we were giggling and playing around, and then she goes, "Do you know how to French kiss?" And it was said very playful, but she's like, "Do you know how to French kiss?" And I said, "Yes, of course I know how to French kiss." So I interpreted French kissing as opening your mouth, sticking your tongue out, and then closing your mouth. Like, think if you were motion, and then you press your tongues together. That's what I thought French kissing was. So I did it, and she did it, and then we pressed our tongues together, and we French kissed. Khadijah leaned under the table and saw us. Khadijah ran across the playground to an adult and told the adult. That adult then came and got me and Maisha and took us to the principal to call our families. So my mother was called, and my mother showed up, and she, of course, kept her composure until we got to the car. As soon as like the teachers were gone, as soon as we were walking to the playground or the parking lot and getting in and all that, I realized like, oh, she's not okay with this. And so I remember sitting in the back seat and her opening the door, throwing, it was maybe her purse or something, throwing something into the car and looking up at me and going, "Do you know that God watched you do that? Are you okay with God watching you French kiss girls under the table?" Now, she didn't expect my reaction to be like, "Sure, if he wants to watch." She slammed the door, and it's safe to say I was grounded. Not only was I grounded, but I got a spanking. I got a spanking for French kissing a girl under the table, and I accepted that fate. I was pissed at Khadijah. "What do you mean, Khadijah? You went and tattled on us. Why?" And we asked her, "Why did you do that?" And she said, "Because I was worried about you. It's inappropriate." Okay. So, I survived the punishment, obviously. But I learned a lesson, not about kissing girls under the table, but one, nobody ever asked how I knew how to French kiss. Now, I've just explained I didn't actually know how to French kiss, but I thought I did. And Maisha thought she did. And we were French kissing. And of course, nobody thought to ask why I kissed girls in the first place. Like nobody, if, well, not even if, in kindergarten, I don't remember it, but in kindergarten, I apparently got caught kissing or almost kissing this boy, Ryan. Okay. He had a twin, Adam, and Ryan was my, at that time, crush. So I mentioned that, even though he's not related to this, other than he was technically at that school at the time. I can remember I was hiding somewhere. We're at Ryan's house. I can see it, and we're hiding. And it was almost like whatever we were hiding, like let's say we were hiding in a box. I can see my mother opening the top and being like, "Get out of there." So she walked inside and she was joking with Ryan's mom about me and him sneaking off to kiss. That was it. It was just the fact of these these kids, you know? But as soon as I was kissing Maisha, all bets were off. God watched you. I thought that was odd. I really did, even back then. Yes, I wasn't happy about getting in trouble, and obviously I wasn't okay with getting spanked and told I was a sinful heathen who God now hated and I was going to hell for my lesbian sins. But then when I was like, but it was okay when I was kissing Ryan, and the response was, no, it wasn't. I never said it was okay. Okay, you know? So it just got really confusing because it was like, okay, I accept the punishment. And I mean, it was probably a week of being grounded, which in kid terms is forever. It's an entire year when you're a kid. But the shame, like, it wasn't the being grounded. I was grounded a million times. It was the shame, it was the disgust, and it was the red flags that I now see of the difference in reaction between my mother finding out that I was French kissing a girl and my father finding out that I was French kissing a girl. One of them was significantly more mad. One of them was significantly more eager to punish me for it. Now, as things like this at school work, I may have been grounded, but I still went back to school. I never did kiss anybody under a table, though. I honestly pulled away. The friendship wasn't over. Nothing changed between me and Maisha. They did change between me and Khadijah because once you break my trust, she didn't get it back, you know, so. But it even got weird with Ashley because Ashley was, again, I'm not into girls. So her finding out that me and Maisha had kissed each other, she was like, ew, that's gross. Why would you kiss a girl? Valid. But it was the first of many, ew, why would you kiss a girl in my life? And it's strange that the most the most of the females who judged me for even wanting to kiss a girl were the ones I wanted to kiss the most. Other than, the grown-ups, but the kids, the ones I wanted to kiss the most were the ones who were the most judgmental of me kissing others. Meanwhile, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I want to kiss you. Do you want to kiss me? No, I don't want to kiss you. Well, then I'll kiss somebody else. Keep in mind, I'm 8. All of this is going on in my head, and I'm 8. For many years, I thought that was just normal for 8-year-olds back then. Then I met 8-year-olds, as I got older, and I started noticing 8-year-olds who would know to French kiss, and 8-year-olds who would be absolutely appalled that you even asked them, of either gender. Most 8-year-olds would just giggle and hide their face. But I was sure. So if I was that sure, who was I French kissing that way? Or where was I watching somebody French kiss? You know? It it leaves a lot of questions, I guess. Uh, but I always laughed at the God watched you. Are you okay with God watching you? Sure, if he wants to watch. If she had been closer, she would have slapped me. And I mean that. She probably would have smacked me straight across my face for saying that. I ended up losing contact with that group of girls, losing contact with Ashley. Um, because we moved the summer before my 5th grade year. So I was at that school from kindergarten through 4th. And then I left school and I said goodbye, and we did the whole we'll keep in touch. um but then once we had moved to Nevada, life started happening, and I realized that I didn't really know how to get in contact with somebody who hadn't given me their address. And I didn't know how to give her my address because I didn't have her address. And I don't think it was intentional that Ashley didn't give me her address. I think it just was little kids being little kids, and we don't think about that. But unfortunately, it made it where I never spoke to Ashley again, and by that, I never spoke to any of them again, because if I wasn't even speaking to Ashley, it's it's not a huge thing. I know that. It's like it's not a huge thing that we pretended to French kiss, but it also is, right? I'm not saying that I deserved to be shamed like I was, but I see it as fear now. And I guess that's how you stop being so angry in certain situations, because you realize that her saying all of that was most likely panic. I mean, nobody wants to be called to the school, but it was all just anger. It was all just panic. It was all just fear. Like I said, there was never any follow up. There was no questioning of, do you think you might like girls? Because it wasn't allowed. I mean, it just wasn't like it. There was no like wanting to know me better. It was just stop it. That's it. It was just stop it. No questioning of how do you even know how to French kiss? Who's teaching you? Or where are you, if it's something you're watching, what are you watching? There was no question. It was just anger. And so once I avoided, well, I guess I didn't avoid it, but once I had served the punishment, everybody just moved on. It was just don't ever kiss a girl again. And I was like, okay, of course. Well, that changed when I was 12 and I got a girlfriend. But even in that in between, when I was, I think about 11, I think was when I started kind of realizing, well, so I guess it would be about 12, because 11 I was homeschooled. So I was only around select people, and my mom was friends with a woman who had about 6 or 7 boys. So when I would go over to someone's house or hang out with them, I would pretty much be hanging out with a bunch of boys. And then my best friend was a girl, but she was much like Ashley, where she didn't even want you to look at her. she Ashley would at least like be open to hugs, where this best friend, she was not open to hugs. So point is, I knew that I had a crush on my best friend again, but I knew nothing was going to happen. So I was thinking about maybe being bisexual, but I didn't really have anything to like test. So I was still thinking about it. But when I was 12, I realized I do still very much like girls, just like I did in kindergarten. And so it was almost like, well, maybe I got in trouble as bad as I did because I was so young. Even then I was like, obviously I was 8, so I get why I got in trouble now. Now I'm 12. So I mentioned again, I think I might like girls and boys. And that's the thing. I was very clear. I do still like boys too. I like boys. Don't worry. I just also like girls. And the response to that was, well, if you like boys like you like girls, then the rules are the same. Your best friend is no longer allowed to spend the night. And I went, what? She doesn't even. Your best friend is not allowed to spend the night because she's a girl. So if you like girls, then that's no different than a boy coming to spend the night. So your best friend's no longer allowed to come over. So when I said that, I had already been dating Megan. So I was like, oh. So that was part of the being secretive with Megan, was remembering what had happened when I was 8 and realizing that now the punishment was going to be that I was no longer allowed to have my best friend come over. I wasn't okay with that because I wasn't doing anything with my best friend. My best friend wasn't even into girls. And my best friend would be devastated if I. So I prayed about it. I prayed really hard about it, like my mother told me to. And I found it in my heart that I was no longer bisexual. And I told my mom, I think I misunderstood myself. I think I'm straight. And she said, wonderful, I knew it. I knew this was just a silly phase. And I said, can my best friend spend the night now? She said, yeah, of course. Shoo. My next question was, can Megan spend the night? And she said, yes, of course, as long as you're not doing anything with Megan. Of course not, Mom. I'm straight. And my mom wouldn't know that I was secretly dating Megan until I talked about it in in my book. And there was a little more with Megan. She tried to steal my boyfriend being Kevin. But that's another story for another time. um, that's just so funny. Like, everybody that knows me now, it's so funny. Like, yeah, I'm straight. Straight as they come. When it's that easy to change stuff like that, I think we all understand that that makes it pretty clear that this isn't a situation where somebody's announcing they're gay and their parents are just so terrified for their life and their safety that they want them to be sure that this is what they really believe. No, because as soon as I said, no, I'm straight, it was like, okay, everything's good now. It's only if you like girls that there's a problem. And I even asked, why, what's the problem if I did want to marry a girl? And it was like the sentence barely even left my mouth. Nope, you're not marrying, you're marrying a boy. So I asked, why? Like, what do I miss out on? What it was, if you are married to a boy, you can make babies. And if you're married to a girl, two girls can't make babies. So if I married a woman, I was told that means that you will not give me grandbabies. Now, as an adult, that makes me really sad to think about. Like, one, thinking about that in general, but also thinking about telling my child that, my young child, because 12 is very young. There was huge fears with me having romantic relationships, and it's odd because it wasn't the things I would expect to be fear. It was the other stuff, the stuff that like didn't make sense to be scared. I had a party where I had two boys come, and there was jokes before about everybody being supervised, but they weren't actually that worried about it. But like those boys, I'm not saying I didn't have a crush on those boys. I did very much have a crush on those boys, but as you've heard, I had a lot of crushes. And that's why I'm saying all these, like, I had a crush on this one and this one, like, because I'm trying to show you that I had a crush on anybody that I felt feelings for. A lot of times I think I had a crush, but looking back, I'm not saying it wasn't a crush, because I genuinely believed it was a crush, and I did have, like, romantic feelings for them. But like, I would make a new friend, and it would be like, I have a crush on you. I think that's along the lines of when somebody's like, I'm sad. And then every time they say, I'm sad, and eventually you go, okay, what's the other emotion? Like, you're sad, but what's also being felt? Like, there's more to this. I think I felt crush feelings. I think I interpreted loving people as that, which I feel is valid considering the fact that familial love got very confusing for me at a very early age. I was doing the job for somebody that I should not have been doing the job for. And I was doing that job because I was so loved by this other person. He loved me so much, right? Of course he would. Why wouldn't he? So because he loved me so much, and we had the familial relationship that we did, and because the other person who loved me so much, loved me more than life itself, would do anything for me because they loved me so much, as long as I wasn't kissing girls, as long as I wasn't having girls that I liked come over, right? But as long as I was inviting boys to my party who were touching electric fences and spraying their pants with Axe and lighting it on fire, the boys were okay. The girl that came was okay. My best friend that came was okay, because the two girls didn't have any interest in me, and the boys also didn't. The boys themselves said, we're here for free food. And I said, well, I got plenty. Look at the like it was very pathetic. But at the end of that night, I would have told you that I had the biggest crush on those two boys. They treated me like crap. They treated me like absolute crap. Told me to my face, we're only here for the free food. People would smack me in the face and I would say, can I have another? I would tell anybody that listened, oh, I have a crush on them. And it's like, what do you like? What do you like about them? What is it that makes them so attractive to you? I wouldn't have been able to tell you. I like them. I got told no. I got told you're not allowed to like girls. You're not allowed to kiss girls. So I just learned you can like them and you can kiss them. You just can't ever let anybody know. They have to be a secret. I'm not saying that Megan is innocent. Believe me, Megan's got her own story. But in this situation, in this context, me and Megan didn't do anything wrong. Yes, at 12, it was inappropriate to be doing what we were doing. I understand that. But I also know that at that time in my life, I had never felt more confident. I had spent so many years living in silence, living in fear, living in secrets. And then this girl showed up that I thought only had eyes for me. I mean, I took her from one of the boys that had been to my party. We both, me and her, had a crush on this boy. We met each other and we decided we wanted each other. I got her over this boy. At that time in my life, the confidence that gave me to know that I had gotten chosen over a boy, me, a girl. Then, of course, there's inside the relationship of me and Megan. I don't regret her, and that's the thing. Was it inappropriate to be kissing Maisha under the table at 8? Yes, of course, I was 8. Was it inappropriate to be kissing Megan at 12? Yes, I guess. Maybe it was inappropriate. But I know how I felt, and I know how we treated each other. And it was like at that point, I was watching grown-ups be horrible to each other and do horrible, disgusting things to each other. And then as soon as this girl came over, as soon as this girl sat next to me, all was right in the world. Meanwhile, I do like my best friend, but my best friend, when I tell her I'm bisexual, responds with, "Ew, gross. I would never kiss a girl. I would never like you." I mean, then you have a girl who's going, "I do like you. I want you. I want you to be my girlfriend. I want to be with you forever." I'm not saying it was all the truth, obviously. But I do know that for somebody like me who all the way back to 8 just wanted to exist in whatever way she existed, I ate that up. I was addicted to the feeling of being wanted. I didn't date anybody after Megan. Okay, so I met Megan at 12. We broke up sometime when we were 13. And I met Cougar when I was 14. So that impacted a lot because things didn't end well with Megan. And things didn't end well with Cougar. But as far as anybody was concerned, neither one of them existed because nobody knew I had dated Megan other than my best friend and the school. um, and nobody really cared that I was dating Cougar because he was an internet friend. So there's a lot of secrets, you know. And I don't know if it would have been any different if I'd gotten a different reaction at 8, but I knew it didn't help anything.